Hello everybody and welcome. This is the Shy Hat, that's me, and we're doing HackerFrogs FreeHack this evening. I see some people in chat. Hello there, Nathan Chan from LinkedIn, and hello Key Topics from YouTube. We're going to be doing Hack the Box tonight. And Key Topics is, he asked the question, what we're doing, we're selecting Tier 1. Yes, we're doing Tier 1 starting point boxes in Hack the Box tonight. So that's what we're going to be doing. Alright, so let's start this off. The first thing you need to do is you need to log into your Hack the Box account. I'm going to demonstrate that right now. Just a second. So I hope everybody's using a password manager, because that's what I am using, and I suggest you do too, because it's the best way to keep all of your passwords in one place without having to use the same password for a bunch of different accounts. Alright, so I am the Shy Hat at gmail.com. That's the address. I'm going to sign in, and I'm going to paste in my password. I'm going to ask it to remember me, and I'm going to sign in. Okay, so the way that Hack the Box works is that you log into this this subdomain over here, account. Oh, I need to mute my phone. Just a second. It's very rude of me not to put the thing on silent. Hold on. Okay, so let's continue. All right, so so after you've logged into this account.hackthebox.com, what you want to do is you want to navigate to the Hack the Box labs over here. So there's going to be a link that leads to app.hackthebox.com. You want to click on that, and that's going to bring you to the Hack the Box labs portion of the website. So you're going to come up to this login page right here. So if you've logged in to the account at hackthebox.com, you want to click on this button right here, which says Continue with HTB Account. Simply click on that, and that should get us logged in. So to everybody who's participating today, if you have a Kali Linux virtual machine available, please type Kali Linux in the chat so I can know who's using Kali Linux and who is not using Kali Linux, or if you're using some other version of Linux, that lets us know. Okay, so it looks like the website is a bit laggy right now. I'm going to click on the button again. Not using Linux. So Key Topics, do you have a virtual machine available to you right now, or Otherwise, you could try using the Hack the Box attack box, I think it's called. So what you want to do is you want to click on the connection settings button over here. And you want to click on starting point. Key topic says, no, this is my first time using this. Okay, no problem. I think we should be able to hook you up with, so after you click on the connection settings button over here, you want to click on starting point over here. And then you want to click on this option right here, which is labeled Pwnbox, Pwnbox. If you're using Kali Linux with the virtual machine, what you would be doing is connecting with OpenVPN. But since you don't have your virtual machine, you can try using the Pwnbox over here. It's going to be slightly different than what we're doing, but the interface will be largely the same. All right, so I'm going to be connecting with OpenVPN because I'm using my Kali Linux virtual machine. Key topics: if you have any problems connecting with the Pwnbox over here, let us know and we'll try to help you through that. Okay, so I'm going to, from my terminal over here, I'm going to start up my OpenVPN connection. So remember, when you're using OpenVPN, you have to use sudo. So it's going to be sudo OpenVPN, and then you're going to use the VPN key file over here, which is associated with your username. So after you run that, it's going to ask you for the password because we're running sudo. And then we're going to get all of this output right here, which means hopefully that we're connected to the Hack the Box network. So I'm going to put this window in the corner over here, and we'll know that we're connected to starting point if we see when the connect to HTTP button over here is not red but green. So we're going to refresh our page. So I'm gonna have to ask everybody to have some patience because it seems from my dealings with Hack the Box in the last couple of weeks, their services have been a bit slow. The website has been a bit slow. So if you ever have any, if you ever see that the website is unresponsive, go ahead and reload the page after you see that it's been unresponsive for a couple of minutes. All right, so it seems to be struggling right now, so I'm going to reload the page. Oh, okay. So I'm this is my username right now, but I used the wrong OpenVPN key. So okay, I'm going to correct that. So I'm going to exit out of this OpenVPN, and I'm going to use the one for the ShyHat user, the ShyHat, and I'm going to run that. And now I should be connected as the correct user. Okay, I'm going to dismiss all of this, and then I'm going to click on connection settings again. And it should say starting point OpenVPN connection, okay? I'm connected to one of these VPN servers over here. All right, so key topics. If you manage to open up your Pwnbox in Hack the Box, please let me know if you're able to do that successfully or not. All right, so after we're connected, we can go over to this link over here labeled starting point. So click on starting point. Key topic says the instance is still loading. Oh, are you talking about the Pwnbox instance? Yeah, it does take a couple of minutes to initialize. If for some reason you find that it doesn't initialize after a couple of minutes, go ahead and try reloading the page and clicking on the button again. All right, so after we've come to the starting point, last week we went over how to finish the tier 0 boxes. This week we're going to be going over tier 1 boxes over here. So go ahead and click on tier 1, and that's going to load up the tier 1 modules over here. All right, so what are we going to be learning today? So when we're going through these different boxes, we're going to learn basic web exploitation techniques such as SQL injection, server-side template injection, remote file inclusion, and how to use web/reverse shells. Okay, so these are the goals for all of the boxes over here, but unfortunately not all the boxes are available to free users. But these first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the first 5 boxes over here are available to free users, and we're going to be covering the first 3 in our session today. Okay, so the first module we're going to be covering is appointment. So after you've come to this page, I want you to click on the appointment tab, and that's going to open up all the tasks for this particular module. So appointment is a very easy box, and and from the icon over here, it looks like it's running Linux. You can tell it's running Linux from the little penguin symbol over here, and it has the following tags: databases, Apache, MariaDB, PHP, SQL, reconnaissance, SQL injection. So these are the types of technologies and techniques we're going to be using to finish this module. All right, so now that we're connected, so remember that if the connect task over here is not green, you're not going to be able to access this box. After that, next you're going to want to click on this button right here labeled Spawn Machine. So click on Spawn Machine, and that's going to spin up the virtual machine that's associated with the module. So key topics, did you manage to get your pwn box working? So if the pwn box initialized, let me know. Okay, that's going to create the instance. This might take about a minute or so, so I'm going to open up another terminal window. And I'm going to make this nice and big so everybody can see. All right, and then we go back to the Hack the Box page. So everybody, if anybody's having any problems, we're going to try to help everybody out as we're working through the modules in tonight's session, because I definitely don't want to leave anybody behind. This is supposed to be hands-on and interactive. That being said, there might be some hiccups during tonight's session because Hack the Box occasionally is a bit unresponsive. I don't know if it's just my connection or if it's everybody's connection, but the app seems to be struggling a bit for me these last couple weeks. And to anybody who wants to do something slightly easier than tonight's session, we did record a session doing the tier 0 boxes, which were very easy. And during that session, we also illustrated how to install virtual machine management software, VirtualBox, and how to create our own Kali Linux virtual machine. So if you missed that and you're interested in doing that, covering those topics, you can go ahead and go to my YouTube page, and under the live link, there will be, from last Friday, there's going to be the session right there that covers how to create, how to install the VirtualBox virtual machine management software as well as Kali Linux. All right, so this is taking a little bit too long, so I'm going to reload the page and try again. Click on spawn machine. Hopefully it goes through more easily this time. So how's everybody doing this evening? This is, I'd like to say TGIF because it's finally Friday and everybody's trying to relax and coming up to the weekend. And some of us are doing Hack the Box. Isn't that nice? Okay, so this the machine has finally come online. To anybody else who is in the chat and following along with us, if your machine has come up online, please tell us in the chat. Type VM online in the chat to let us know. All right, so we've got our IP address for the machine associated with the module. An interesting thing about the interface over here at Hack the Box is that you can click on the IP address and it's going to copy the IP address to your clipboard. So the IP address is very important for interacting with this machine. And the first thing we want to do is we want to try pinging the machine to make sure that our remote server, our virtual machine can communicate with this with the target machine. So how we do that is we go over to our terminal and then we use the following command. Okay, so it's going to be ping, and then -C4 for 4 pings, and then the IP address. So remember, the IP address for your machine and the IP address for my machine are probably going to be different. So definitely get the IP address from over on the Hack the Box page, and don't copy mine. All right, so we run the ping command, and that's going to send ping packets over to the target machine. And we see there are 4 packets transmitted, 4 received, 0% packet loss. That means that we can communicate with the machine. All right, so now that we've done that, we can run our first initial scan. So every time we run one of these exercises, we want to use the nmap command. So that's going to be nmap, and then nmap, and I like to run it with the -V command right here for very verbose. That's going to give us results right away, and we want to run it with T4, and T4 means that it's going to run with 4 threads at the same time, which means that the program is going to run faster. And we run -P-, and -P- means that we're going to run the nmap scan against every networking port. And lastly, what we need to do is we need to paste in the IP address. So we paste in the IP address, very verbose. It's going to run with 4 threads, and we're scanning all of the ports on the machine, and we're running the nmap program. Okay, so we run that command, and we see that immediately we discovered open port 80 TCP on this particular server. All right, so that means that So typically port 80 is associated with HTTP, the HTTP protocol, which means that it's a web server. All right, so after we've run that, we can. I'll tell you now that there's only one port available on this machine right here. So we can probably quit out of this nmap command by doing Control-C. So we do the Control-C shortcut. And what we can do is we can bring back the previous command with the up arrow key, and that brings up the terminal history. And what we can do is we can run another nmap command. This time we're not scanning for open ports. We're going to scan for the version of the software running on those ports. So we add these extra flags right here. It's going to be -S to run common scripts against any services we find, and -S for version information. So that's going to let us know what version of software is running on these networking ports. All right, so we run that command, and we're running against port 80. So because we're only scanning one port, this scan should come back relatively quickly, and we see that. So port 80 here, the status of the networking port is open. The service reported is HTTP, and the version of the web server software is Apache HTTPD 2.4.38 Debian. Okay, so this tells us that this is a Linux server. It's running the Linux operating system. All right, so let's go ahead and directly access this, access the web page associated with this web server. So we can just copy the IP address, and then we want to run the web browser inside of our virtual machine. So it's usually going to be Firefox, and then we will navigate to this IP address, and we're just going to give this an HTTP so that it knows that we're looking for a web page. And we see here that it leads us to a login page. All right, so this login page over here is just like any other login page, but there's something special about this particular login page. So anytime you come up on a login page, anytime you come up on a web server, you can try a variety of different ways to do initial testing. So for example, we could look for a robots.txt file on the web server. In this case, it's not found, so we're going to go back. Another thing that we can do when we're initially testing a web page is that we can look at the HTTP source for the particular web page. In this case, we can use the keyboard shortcut Control-U, and that's going to bring up the HTTP source for this particular web page. And we could look for interesting information in the HTTP source. In this case, there's nothing super interesting about the content that we find here. Another thing that we can do, in particular for login pages, is we can try the infamous SQL injection login bypass technique. So the SQL bypass technique is a way that we can bypass login pages and log into the web app directly. Okay, so it involves what is called SQL injection, SQL injection, and this is a way of tricking the database into running a command that it shouldn't. Okay, so I'm going to teach you the login bypass string, and so typically it's going to be quote, single quote, or double quote. So it's going to be single quote, and then it's going to be or 1 = 1, and then space, and then hash, the hash symbol right here. So if you know your SQL language, the quote is going to close out a query, and then the OR is going to provide an alternate, and then 1 equals 1 is a statement that that equates to true, and then we quote out the rest of the SQL statement right here. So what this is doing is that it's letting us log in if we supply a true statement to it, and in this case 1 equals 1 is true in a programming sense. Okay, so the hash symbol over here is going to quote out the rest of the SQL query in case there was anything else that followed after it, and it's going to let us run just this SQL query right here. The last thing we need to do is we need to put something in the password field, it doesn't matter what, and then we click on login, and if this particular login page is vulnerable to SQL injection, then we will be able to log in without providing proper credentials. So we click on login, and it turns out that this web app was vulnerable to SQL injection, and we're able to log in using the infamous SQL login bypass technique. All right, so if anybody has any questions about this particular technique or how we managed to log in without using proper credentials, please type in the chat and let us know. We were provided with the flag over here, so we're going to use this. We're going to use this eventually, but first we need to answer all the other questions associated with this box. So we're going to go back to the HackerBox page, and we're going to answer a series of questions over here. If you're working on this on your own, you could look to these questions as kind of a guide to where you should be looking next to solve this particular module. So task 1 here is, what does the acronym SQL stand for? So if anybody knows what SQL stands for in chat, please type it in chat to let us know. Otherwise, we could ask our good know-it-all friend ChatGPT what this stands for. In programming, what does SQL stand for? Okay. Oh, so SQL stands for Structured Query Language. So structured query language is the language that most typical software databases speak, and in order to so if a web app is connected to a database, it's usually an SQL database, and if so, we can try exploiting any SQL vulnerabilities found there. So this is structured query language. We can just copy this and use this as the answer. Go back here and we will submit the answer, and then we will move on to task 2. What is one of the most common types of SQL vulnerabilities? So common type of SQL vulnerabilities, we were just talking about it. It is called SQL injection. So we were able to inject an SQL query into the username field, and that's how we were able to log in. So SQL injection is the answer, and then we submit that. Okay, so the next question is, what is the 2021 OWASP top 10 classification for this vulnerability? Okay, so for anybody who doesn't know, OWASP is an organization that seeks to improve the security of web applications. That is, any application that communicates with the internet. And they have a list called the OWASP Top 10, which lists the top 10 web application vulnerabilities. And they update this list every few years or so. And I think the latest list is from 2021. And they classify SQL injection as a type of, we could look it up really quickly right now. Okay, so OS Top 10, 2021. So let's take a look here. So this is what we're looking for right here. So they've got their top 10 over here according to different categories. For example, the number one vulnerability in the OS top 10 for 2021 is broken access control. But we're looking at SQL injection, which is a type of injection vulnerability, which is listed at number 3 on the OS top 10. So we can copy this text and we can submit this as the answer. Submit answer, and that is done. All right, so question number 4. What does Nmap report as the service and version that is running on port 80 of the target? Okay, so if you remember from our terminal over here when we ran our Nmap scan, we're looking for the web server, right? Hold on. Service and version, okay. So that is so this is the answer right here, Apache HTTPD 2.4.38. So this is the answer here. Copy that. And remember, inside of a Linux terminal, you have to use Control-Shift-C and Control-Shift-V to copy and paste. All right, we go back to the, oh, we also have to supply Debian over here. All right, so we paste that in, and we're going to do the double parentheses, and we're going to put Debian in there. And that should be the answer. Click on Submit Answer. And that is, it accepted the answer. Okay. All right, so question number 5 is, what is the standard port used for the HTTPS protocol? So if anybody knows in chat which port is associated with HTTPS as opposed to HTTP, the regular one, please let us know in chat. But we could also ask ChatGPT what port is associated with HTTPS. So this is port 443. Nathan, thank you very much. Notes by Nisha, also with 443. You guys know some networking stuff. All right, so let's go back and fill that in as the answer, 443. Welcome, Notes by Nisha. I hope you're following along, and I hope you're learning something as we work through these modules. Okay. All right. So task number 6. What is a folder called in web application terminology? So another word for folder that we use when we're talking about computer files and such is something called a directory. So I usually like to use the word directory. I use the word folder occasionally, but usually I use the D word over here, directory. Okay, so this is the answer. All right, number 7. What is the HTTP response code given for not found errors? Okay, so not found errors. Every HTTP request has a numerical code associated with it. If for some reason you can't find a resource, that's usually going to be a 404 error. So 404 means not found. That is the answer. Submit. Okay. So here it's asking about a particular tool. So GoBuster is one tool used to brute force directories on a web server. What switch do we use with GoBuster to specify we're looking to discover directories and not subdomains? So this is so we didn't really use GoBuster, but we didn't really use GoBuster to do any directory busting on this particular module. But GoBuster is a common directory enumeration tool. So you're basically able to scan a bunch of different directory names on a web server and try to determine if any of these directories exist. And GoBuster is the tool to do that. So if we were to ask ChatGPT, using GoBuster, which switch do we use to do directory busting? Okay, so the switch we're using is dir. So if we want to do directory busting, we use GoBuster dir. So that's the answer there. So question number 9, what single character can be used to comment out the rest of a line in MySQL? So different versions of SQL, SQL, different versions of SQL software use different symbols for commenting out, for leaving comments in the code. In the case of MySQL, the character we're looking for is the hash character right here. So anything after the hash character is going to be interpreted as a comment by the system, which means that it's not going to be executed. So that's the answer. We can submit it. Okay, so task 10, question 10. If user input is not handled carefully, it could be interpreted as a comment. Use a comment to log in as admin without knowing the password. What is the first word? What is the first word on the web page returned? Okay, so now we have to take a look at the web page that we compromised. So that is over here, and the first word that we get after we log into the application over here is congratulations. So we can just copy this and use it as the answer for this question. And we should probably leave out the exclamation point and click on submit answer, and we are done. Okay, so the last thing we need to do is submit the root flag. So after we logged in, we were supplied a flag, which is a alphanumeric, seemingly looking alphanumeric value, which is this right here. So does anybody offhand know what kind of counting system this might be when these characters right here? It's not super important, just a little test of the knowledge. Okay, so Poor Eyes says hexadecimal. That's correct. This is hexadecimal because you see that there are a bunch of letters included with the numbers over here, but you notice that none of the letters go beyond the letter F. So hexadecimal goes from 0 to 9 and from A to F. That's how you can know that. That's how you know that you're dealing with hexadecimal. And welcome to the stream, Poor Eyes. Nice to see you here. All right, so that we're going to submit that as the final answer. Submit root flag, and with that, we are finished this module. So the machine over here is going to shut off automatically. And we get this message right here, appointment has been pwned. All right, so we just need to click OK, and then we can move on to the next module. All right, so the next module, we're going to scroll down. The next module is this one over here, labeled SQL. All right, so we can click on that to get into the module. Poor Eyes, have you ever used Hack the Box before? Are you following along right now? If not, you could try registering an account over at hackthebox.com, and then you can join in with us. All right, so this box is called SQL, and let's take a look at what tags are associated with this module here. It says vulnerability assessment, databases, MySQL, SQL, reconnaissance, and weak credentials. Poor Eye says, yeah, I would, but I'm doing other stuff right now. Oh, no problem, no problem. You do what you do what you need to do. All right, so let me pull up my notes for this module here. What I really should be doing is I should be clicking on the initialize button, because that's going to take some time. So everybody, to start to start the exercise, we need to spawn this machine. So click on the spawn machine button, and that might take a little while. Hopefully, luck is on our side, and the application actually doesn't act up on us. Okay, so is anybody here from Black Girls Hack or Women's Society of Cyberjitsu? If you are, let us know, because I always I like to see when community members are following along and participating in the live stream. All right. Oh, you two. So key topics and notes by Manisha are from Black Girls Hack. Welcome, welcome. Nice to see you all. Poor Eyes. Yes, you are also from Black Girls Hack. I understand. All right. So key topics and notes by Nisha. If you all need if y'all are having any problems with the Hack the Box service, or if you're having any technical issues, please let us know and we'll try to help you solve your problems. All right, so wow, we managed to get our box up and running relatively quickly here. All right, nice. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to click on the IP address to copy it over to our clipboard, and then we want to go over to our terminal. So the first thing we want to do is we want to ping the box to make sure that it is responding and we're able to communicate with it. So run ping with the -C4 to send 4 ping packets, and if we see that all of our packets were received and we don't have any packet loss, that's a good sign. Okay, so next we want to scan this box with the Nmap program. So remember, Nmap is going to scan a server for all of the open ports available on it, and what we need to do is we need to run it with $V, which is very verbose, which means that we're going to get output immediately after it's received, as opposed to waiting until the entire scan is done to give us output. We're going to run it with -T4, which is going to run the program with 4 threads, meaning that it's going to run faster. And we're going to run the Nmap program with -P-, meaning that we're going to scan every networking port available on this system. Okay? So the last thing we do is we have to paste in the IP address. So this is the final command right here. And remember that this IP address and your IP address is probably not going to be the same. I recommend that you copy the IP address by clicking on it right here. And let's run, sorry, this is, that was the wrong thing to do. So this is, so we're going to run our nmap command. And it's going to show us a discovered port on port 3306. So 3306 is a typical open networking port, and this is associated with the MySQL service. So MySQL service is a database, and we can use software to connect to the interface. Sorry, to connect to the database directly. So I'm going to do Control-C to quit out of the command, and then we're going to run another nmap command just on the open ports that we found. Poor Eye says, so you're saying I can find some boss MC servers by scanning all IPv4 addresses and testing port 25565. I'm not exactly sure which networking port that is, but I will say that if you start scanning random servers on the internet with the Nmap program, your ISP might come knocking on your door, or they might start sending you some emails. So don't do that. You should only use Nmap to scan servers that you're allowed to scan. All right. So Nmap, it's V-V-T4 the port number we found, which is this. We also want to run it with SC, which is going to run. Porai says restrictive gov L. I'm sure if you were to run your Nmap scan from some other countries, their governments wouldn't stop you. Okay, so it's -S capital C and -S capital V. So this one right here is going to run a bunch of standard scripts against whatever service you find, and -SV over here is going to scan for version information about this particular service. So go ahead and run that scan, and then we're going to get information about about this networking port over here. It usually runs a little faster than this. But what we're going to be doing in this particular exercise is we're going to be connecting to the database directly using the MySQL console command. Porai says the CIA is stream sniping me. Well, if the CIA was stream sniping me, then I would be very flattered. But what I suspect is that the Hack the Box website is just running a bit slow right now. But that's okay. The great thing about Hack the Box is that they're providing all of this great education stuff for free. So usually, if you were to run all these virtual machines on like Amazon Web Services or something, it would probably cost you like thousands of dollars a month. But it's all free for the students here, which is nice. Okay, so I'm probably gonna quit out of my scan if I'm probably gonna quit out of my scan soon if we don't get a result in a little bit. Okay, so let me try this one more time, and I'm hoping that it doesn't lag out on me. Okay, so while we're waiting for the scan to go through, I'm going to open up another terminal window, and what we're going to do is we're going to try connecting to the MySQL server directly. Porai says L hack the box. L hack the box. Well, it is what it is. All right, so we're going to connect to MySQL directly, and let's see, it's going to be MySQL. I've got it right here, okay, but the IP address is not this. Okay, so we're going to use this command right here, MySQL, and then we're going to try the easy win, and the easy win in this case is logging in as the admin user root. So -u root, and then -h, and then we supply the IP address over here. So let me copy the IP address one more time. And then we're going to run this, and hopefully we're going to connect to the database on the server over there. The scan is still running. That's not great. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try pinging my my machine again, just to make sure that we can still contact it. Okay, so we can still contact it. I'm going to run that scan one more time. Okay, so in the meantime, we've connected to the database using the root user over here. So the interesting thing is we were able to log in as the root user, and we didn't have to supply a password. So Poor Eye says rm-rf tilde was copying and pasting. That's a great command right there. To anybody who's watching, please don't run that command in your Linux box. Otherwise, you might end up deleting all the information on your file system. Okay, so we're logged into MariaDB. So the first thing we need to do is we need to find out what databases are available on the system. So we're going to be using some SQL commands. So so this is MariaDB, which is kind of an offshoot of the MySQL software. The command that we want to run in order to get all the databases on the system is this one right here, show databases. So show and then databases, and it's going to return all of the different databases on the system right here. We have to make sure that we end all of our SQL commands with this semicolon right here, otherwise it's going to error out. So you run the command, and we have four databases right here. So there's HTB, information underscore schema, MySQL, and performance underscore schema. So these are the four databases right here. What we want to do is we want to activate one of these databases. So in order to access the databases, we have to use the use command, and then we can switch ourselves over onto one of these databases. In this case, this is the database that's probably going to have some interesting stuff in it, because these other databases right here these are all standard databases, but this one is the non-standard one. So the command is use HTB, and that's going to activate the database for us to do queries in. Run that, and we see database change, and where it previously said none, now it says HTB. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to find out all the information about the tables inside of this database. And in MariaDB and in MySQL, it's going to be show tables. So Yosef Ben Israel says, I'm from BGH. Hello, Yosef. Nice to see you here, and hope you can learn with us while we solve these Hack the Box challenges. All right, so show tables is the command right here. We have to make sure to include the semicolon, and there are two tables inside of this database right here. We've got config, and we have users. So Yosef, if you have an account over at Hack the Box, you can log into Hack the Box and you can join in with us. I'm not sure how long you've been watching so far. All right, so there's the config table and there's the users table. So let's get everything from the tables. Inside of SQL, we can use the select command, and we can select star, which means everything from the name of the table. So if we want to get everything from the users table, this would be the command right here, select star, which is all of the columns from the users table. And we have to end it with the semicolon. We run that, and then we get all the information from that particular table, which is the users table. And we see admin, we see these different usernames and these different email addresses over here. But this is not what we're looking for. We're looking for something called a flag. So all these exercises have the goal of accessing a flag. So we didn't find it in the users table. There's only one more table here to try, which is the config table. So select star from config is going to select all of the columns and return them to us from the config table. Run that, and we see the among the output over here is the value of the flag, which is what we're looking for. So it's this right here. So we're going to need to copy this and submit this as an answer, but we need to answer all the other questions associated with this module first. So we're going to go back to the TryHackMe page, and then we're going to start answering some questions. So during our scan, which port do we find serving MySQL? So in the Nmap scan, it told us that port 3306 was open. So we submit that as the answer. The next question is, what community developed MySQL version is the target running? So remember that inside of here, this is not called MySQL, it's called MariaDB. So this is, like I said, this is an offshoot of the MySQL software, and this is the answer. Submit that as the answer. Okay. The next question is, when using the MySQL command line client, what switch do we need to use in order to specify a login username? Okay, so when we logged into MySQL, we used this command right here, and this is what we use to specify the username right here. So it's -u. The next question is, which username allows us to log into this MariaDB instance without providing a password? Okay, so the answer here is the root account. So normally you're not going to be able to log into able to log into some database service without providing a password, but these are easy hack the box challenges, so this kind of stuff exists. So root is the answer, submit that as the answer. All right. In SQL, what symbol can we use to specify within the query that we want to display everything inside a table? So when we are returning everything from these tables over here, we have to use this symbol right here, which is the asterisk or star, and that's going to get us all of the columns from the table. So the answer is star. Okay, task 6, question 6. In SQL, what symbol do we need to end each query with? So this is so SQL is a programming language, and like most other programming languages, aside from a very select few, we have to end all of our statements with the semicolon, and that is the answer. Okay, looks like the website doesn't like that. We're gonna have to wait a little bit. In the meantime, let's take a look at our scan. Okay, so our Nmap scan finally came back. It says that it's MySQL question mark. It doesn't really know, but it knows that it's this version of MariaDB over here. Okay, so let's go back to. All right, so we're going to submit this answer again. To anybody else who's having, who occasionally has problems with the Hack the Box website, usually you're going to have to, if you're having some sort of problem where you press a button and it doesn't really go through, you're going to have to wait a little bit and then try again. Okay, question 7. There are 3 databases in this MySQL instance that are common across all MySQL instances. What is the name of the 4th that is unique to this host? Okay, so we pointed out that there were, when we did show databases, that these 3 over here were common to other databases, but this is the unique one right here. So this is the answer, HTB. And lastly, we have to submit the root flag. So this is the root flag. We copy it with Control-Shift-C inside the terminal, and then we paste it into the submission field and submit that. Okay, it doesn't feel like receiving that. Let's do that again. All right, SQL has been pwned. Okay, so that is the end of this module, SQL. We have one more module to go before we wrap up for the night. Thank you very much to everybody who's watching and joining in. I hope everybody is learning some new stuff. If you have any questions, please type in the chat, and I'll try to answer your questions and comments as best I can. All right, so the last module that we're going to cover tonight is this one right here, labeled Crocodile. So what are we going to be learning in this module right here? The tags are custom applications, protocols, Apache, FTP, reconnaissance, website structure discovery, clear text credentials, and anonymous/guest access. All right, so let's start up the machine by clicking on the spawn machine button over here. So these machines, these boxes over here, they're designed to be very handholdy, and they're designed to be solvable with enough effort. They give you a lot of different hints inside of these questions right here, and by reading the questions right here, you should be able to get kind of a roadmap for how to solve each one of these modules over here. But if that doesn't work, you also have this option to read the walkthrough right here. So if you were to click on this, it would open up a PDF file, which would give you all the instructions you would need to solve this particular challenge. These starting point machines are designed to be very easy to do, because Hack the Box has historically been a very difficult education platform to get into. It's their philosophy in the past has been kind of, if you're not good enough to solve these challenges, then we don't want you. But in the last couple of years, they've softened their stance a little bit, probably because they want to get as many students as they can to be using their education platform. So That's why they created these starting point boxes, which are very handholdy and very easy to work through. Okay, so we have our target machine IP address. Just click on this, and it's going to copy the IP address to your clipboard. And then we're going to go over to our terminal. Not this one, but this one. Okay, and the first thing we want to do is we want to try to ping the target machine to make sure that we can access it. So we're going to ping the machine with 4 packets, as indicated by this, and we're going to see if we can communicate. Okay, so 4 packets transmitted, 4 received, so that means that we can contact the machine, which means we can run our scans. Okay, so remember, the first scan we're going to do is an Nmap scan with very verbose and with 4 threads to make it faster. And we're also going to scan every port with -p-, and then we're going to paste in the IP address. So we're going to run the scan, and it's immediately going to find 2 ports that are open over here. It's port 21 and port 80. So while I'm waiting for the rest of the scan to finish, I'm going to pull up my notes for this machine. Hold on. Okay, so my notes over here say that there are only these 2 ports open on this machine, so we can stop scanning right now. So to stop the Nmap scan, we can Control-C to quit out of it, and then we're going to run our second Nmap scan. So the second Nmap scan is going to specify port 21 and port 80. So this is the syntax you use. It's -p, 1 port, and then comma, the second port. We're also going to try to identify the service version by using this flag right here, -S_V, and we're going to try to run any default scripts on those services with -SC. All right, so we're going to run the scan, and hopefully we're going to get some better information about these 2 open ports. Okay, so what do we have here? So we've got port 21. It's running an FTP service. FTP is the file transfer protocol, and FTP servers usually have files on them that you can download. And we see the specific version of FTP, which is VSFTPD 3.0.3. And according to the scripts that we ran on it, there's anonymous FTP login allowed on this particular server, and it also got us the list of files that are available via FTP over here. So allowed.userlist and allowed.userlist.password. Okay, so this is a big thing. That's great. And we also have this right here, which is port 80. Which is open. It's running HTTP as usual for port 80, and it also gives us the server information right here, which is Apache HTTPD 2.4.41, and this is the Ubuntu operating system. All right, so another thing we can do when we have a web server that we find is we can run the Nicto web application vulnerability scanner, and so the Nicto web application vulnerability scanner is going to scan a web page. Sorry, it's going to scan a website, and it's going to scan a web page, and it's going to try to determine if there are any interesting security flaws associated with that web page. So I'm going to run this right now. So Nicto is a pretty old program, but it's still pretty good. It's still a pretty good program to run on these CTF boxes. stuff that you'll find on Hack the Box and Try Hack Me, because you can usually get some good information from running this particular vulnerability scanner. So we're going to let that run for a little bit, and in the meantime, we're going to use FTP to try to access the file server. Okay, so I'm going to move into a temporary directory right now because I don't want whatever I'm going to download from the server to be sitting around in my regular file system. So we know that FTP is available on port 21. To use FTP, we just need to use the FTP command with the IP address. So it's FTP, paste in the IP address, and then we can try to log in. It's going to ask for a name, and since we know that anonymous FTP login is available, we use the anonymous username, and we're able to log in without a password. So sometimes it'll ask you for a password, and sometimes for the password you can just enter a blank password, and sometimes the password is also going to be the word anonymous. So we're in FTP now. When we're in FTP, we can, for the most part, we can use Linux commands. So we can do ls to see what's in the FTP directory, and we see there are two files over here. We're going to download them. So the way we download when we're using FTP is we use the get command, and we can also use tab autocomplete to autocomplete the names of files. So you just type the first couple letters of the file name, and then press tab, and it's going to autocomplete the file name. So we're going to get the user list. So that is downloaded successfully, and then we're going to get the password list. So we're using get to download these two files right here, and after we've finished downloading the files, we can exit out of here. So to get out of the FTP program, we can just do exit. You would give the exit command, and then we're out. Let's take a look at what is in the directory now. So there are some temporary files, and then there are two files that we downloaded over here. So it's allowed.userlist. So we're going to read that. And we see that there are these 4 usernames on the system. And we're also going to take a look at the password list. And there are these 4 passwords over here. So we're going to be using these this list of usernames and passwords in a little bit, but let's go back to our NICTO scan over here. So among the output in the NICTO web app vulnerability scan, we've got this one right here, login.php. So we know that there's a login page available on this web app, and there's also a configuration page over here. It says PHP config file may contain database IDs and passwords. Let's check out this one right over here first. So it says that there's a login page. So we can go over to our web browser. We can copy our IP address, and then we can go over to this particular IP address, make sure that we're using HTTP. And it says business is now digital. Okay, great. Well, we know that there is a, so normally what we would do is we would look over the web page over here, and we would try to find out if there's anything suspicious about any of the output that we're seeing. We could try looking for robots.txt file, or we could try looking at the page source with the Control-U keyboard shortcut, and take a look at the source code over here to see if there's anything suspicious. But we know that there is a login page. So we can direct. Somebody just subscribed on YouTube. Thank you very much. Very much Okay, so we can navigate to the directory, to the page directly by going to login.php. So login.php, navigate over there, and this is a typical login page. We could try using the typical. We could try using the SQL bypass that we used for the other challenge. To see if we could log in without credentials. But it seems that this particular web app is not vulnerable to SQL injection. So it says warning, incorrect information. Okay, no problem. So this is where we're going. This is where the username and the password list that we discovered comes in handy. So okay, so we could manually go through each one of these passwords and usernames over here. I'm going to tell you that this is the username that we're looking for. So this is the admin username. Actually, we don't need to copy that. So we know there's root, there's super secret password 1, and we could try to iteratively log into the app using these passwords right here. So let's try super secret password 1. Copy that, and with the admin username. First time tatter, Particle Didu says hello. Hello, Particle Didu. How are you? We're doing Hack the Box over here. This is an education platform that tries to teach you hacking skills. Okay, so we try admin with the super secret password 1 password, and we try to sign in, and that doesn't work. We're going to try admin again, but with another password. I'm fine. I love Starting Point. Oh, okay. So you're a fellow hacker then. Okay, so let's try with this password right here. Particle, have you finished all of the Starting Point boxes, or are you working through them right now? Okay, so let's try that password, which is this one right here. Sign in. Nope, that didn't work. The free ones, yes, I did. Yes, well, we just happen to be running through the free runs right now because we don't have a paid account. We're just using the free stuff. Okay, so let's try admin again with this password right here, the last one. Okay, and now we're logged in. Particle Didu says, you want a key? I got one for you. Well, I don't necessarily need a key for Hack the Box right now, but thank you very much for offering. But now that we've logged into the server by using the captured credentials, we have our flag right over here. So we're gonna be using this flag in just a little bit, but let's take a look at this web app over here. There's a bunch of buttons that we can click on, and we can get charts and stuff. And apparently that doesn't go anywhere. And we can get tables. That doesn't go anywhere either. And there's a whole dashboard that we could explore over here. So if this was if this were a more difficult challenge, it would probably have you going through the information inside of the web app, we could scan it for clues, and then we would go from there to try to compromise the web server. But let's answer the questions associated with this box. All right, so it was over here. Okay, so question 1: what Nmap scanning switch employs the use of default scripts during a scan? So we actually use this during our own Nmap scans. Whoops. Where are we? Let me demonstrate. Okay, so we were running something like this, and this is the flag right here, which runs default scripts. And so for any service we find when we scan with Nmap over here, it's going to try to scan using some common scripts that are used for that particular service. And if it's vulnerable to anything from these common scripts, it's going to show you the results. And that's how we found out that there was anonymous login available on the FTP server. So the answer over here is -S. The next question is, what service version is found to be running on port 21? Okay, so if I remember correctly, it was VSFTPD 3.0.3. Particle Dedu says, I have some knowledge on cybersecurity. Well, I'm happy to hear that. I'm here to teach beginner cybersecurity skills. That's what I've specialized in. But I've previously worked a role doing web app security testing. But I certainly won't say that I know everything, and I know that there's a lot of stuff there's a lot of stuff in cybersecurity to know, and basically anybody who says that they know everything about cybersecurity, they probably don't. Okay, so the next question is, what FTP code is returned to us for the anonymous FTP login allowed message? Particle to do. Are you? How long have you been learning cybersecurity? Are you professional, or are you a student? Okay, so this question: which FTP code is returned to us for the anonymous FTP login allowed message? Okay, so if you remember, there was this particular code associated with that, and that was code 230. So we can submit that as the answer. Particle to do says, not pro, 6 months. Okay. Are you aiming to become, are you aiming for a role in cybersecurity, like a pen tester, a network pen tester, or a web app pen tester? The next question is, after connecting to the FTP server using the FTP client, what username do we provide when prompted to log in anonymously? Okay, so we were able to log in anonymously using a particular user account, and that one was anonymous. That is the answer. Okay, task number 5. Particle to do, only for hobby. If I can get my OSCP, it will be fun. Okay, all right. Not everybody has to get into cybersecurity to get a job. If you think that cybersecurity is a fun hobby, that's a great thing as well. But as far as OSCP is concerned, have you considered trying for another certification, like the one from Hack the Box? I think it's called the EJTP, or the one from TCM Security, the PNPT. So what command can we use to download the files we find on the FTP server? That is the get command. The get command is used to download files. Particle to do says, I'm 43 years, it's too late to have a job for me. Are you currently working in another IT role? Are you working in as like a sysadmin, a system administrator, or some other IT role, like a developer? Task number 6. What is one of the higher privilege sounding usernames in allowed.user list that we downloaded from the FTP server? Okay, so the answer here is the admin username, which we're able to use to log in. we submit that as the answer. Oh, it looks like it didn't like that. Okay, we're probably gonna have to wait for a few seconds while the web app decides to throw a fit. Okay, submit answer again. Okay, the next question is, what version of Apache HTTP server is running on the target host? Particle Dedu says it was 7 years IT support, but this is the low level of computer. Well, there are a lot of people who switch over to cybersecurity from IT support or from network administration. I think as long as you have solid grasp of computer networking, that switching over to cybersecurity shouldn't be too difficult. Okay, so what version of Apache HTTP server? Let's take a look at the Nmap scans. So let's run the scan again. And let me grab my, oops, that's not it. This should come back pretty fast. Okay, so this is the Apache version right here. Let's copy this and provide it as the answer. I don't think we need this portion right here. We'll delete it, and we're going to submit that as the answer. Okay, so the next question is, what switch can we use with GoBuster to specify we're looking for specific file types? So we're talking about GoBuster again. Unfortunately, we didn't use GoBuster to enumerate to do any directory busting in this case. Particle Dedu says -X. That's correct, right? We're looking for specific file extensions, so it's going to be -X. So if you all wanted to try to use GoBuster to enumerate some directories, you're welcome to do so, but this is the answer. And the next question is, which PHP file can we identify with directory brute force that will provide the opportunity to authenticate to the web server? Remember that we ran the Nikto web app security vulnerability scanner, and it found this login page right here. So this is the answer. So I have a question, Particle Dedu. As far as cybersecurity and testing systems is concerned, are you more interested in network security testing with Active Directory, Windows Active Directory, and stuff like that, or are you more interested in testing web apps with stuff like Burp Suite? Okay, so the last thing we need to do is we need to submit the root flag, which we found after we logged into the web app. Particle Dedu says, I like both of them. Oh, that's great, because well, I'm sure you already know about sites like portswigger.net for learning about web app security testing, but there's no real equivalent for learning about how to do Active Directory testing. But there are a bunch of Active Directory testing modules on education platforms like Hack the Box and TryHackMe. All right, so paste in the root flag and submit it, and it is done. Particle to do says, yes, I did some challenge on SQLi. Oh, SQL injection. Yes, of course. Okay, so it says, so we get this message over here. Crocodile has been pwned, and we are finished. Okay. So, thank you very much for coming to the stream tonight. I didn't want to run this session too late. That's why I'm not going to be finishing off the last 2 boxes on this particular tier. But we'll be back next Friday, and we're going to be running through these 2 boxes right here, and maybe a third one if we have some time. Responder over here deals with remote file inclusion and local file inclusion. It's a very fun Windows-based box, and there's 3 over here, and 3 deals with testing Amazon Web Services S3 buckets. So those are both very interesting technologies to hack. We'll be back. Responder could take time, by the way. Yes, in real world environments, Responder could take a while to get results from, and especially if people are not using easy to crack passwords. But then again, using Responder, you can also pass password hashes as credentials as well. So that's that could be very, very interesting. All right, so everybody, thank you very much for attending today's challenges. We are HackerFrogs, and we have a Reddit page. So reddit.com/r/HackerFrogs, and we have all sorts of great topics over here that are geared towards beginners cybersecurity. I will provide the link in the chat just in case anybody wants to take a look. We have a lot of posts over here talking about first of all talking about the streaming schedule. So every week we usually run between 2 and 3 streams. For example, we ran streams on Tuesday this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday this week. Next week we'll be starting our Python programming course on Monday. So we're going to be running through Python programming for about 8 weeks. And if you wanted to take a look at the schedule for that, we have it over here. Notes by Nisha says, thank you. Well, thank you very much, Notes by Nisha. Particle to Do is now a HackerFrog. Thank you very much for following on Twitch, Particle to Do. So I've provided the link to the Reddit thread over here talking about the different topics for our Python programming workshops. It's going to run for about 8 weeks. I understand that it's a bit long. It goes for about 2 months. But by the end of the 8 weeks, we're going to be able to write our own scripts, and we're going to be running our own programs. Particle to Do says, you convinced me when I heard Python lessons. Well, thank you very much. We're trying to teach everybody all about some fundamental skills to help people get into cybersecurity, and Python is certainly one of them. So we're going to be running that starting next Monday. It's going to be June 3rd. I hope to see people there because I'm happy to teach people how to do some programming. Programming might seem very complicated and very intimidating to people who are new to it, but it's certainly something that's very satisfying to learn. And when your programs run and you're able to get some good results from them, you feel really good. Okay, so some other stuff that you can get. We recently finished our Linux education course. Of course, we've got a thread over here about all the free Linux education resources over here. I'll provide that in the chat as well. And to anybody who wanted to learn some fundamental networking skills, networking is certainly something that's very important for learning cybersecurity. You can't really get by unless you know what a network is. And you can access that from the links over here in this post over here. But yeah, let's see who is on Twitch. We might send some people over to another stream. Okay, I don't see any other other cybersecurity streamers on right now. But thank you everybody for coming. We'll be back on Monday when we start our Python programming course. Until then, everybody have a great week and a great weekend, and we will see you next time.
First